Peace to the family, peace to the gods. I was doing a poll and I wanted to know, I'm trying to get a quick understanding going how y'all feeling. I know y'all tired. I know y'all tired. But don't be. Don't let the politics of the world get you down. Right? I think that's one of my main messages as well. Don't let the politics of the world get you down. The moment that you come across something that you feel like you have no power over, you're supposed to breathe, smile, right? And you let it go. And move forward with your day. Trying to control too many variables that are outside your control gives one anxiety. So people have a lot of future anxiety because so many things are changing before they have time to react. Trump gets shot, Biden gets COVID, Biden steps down, Kamala versus Kennedy versus Cornell. Tomorrow there's going to be another thing. So the people of America and the world are in this constant state of not being actually able to process their feelings, their thoughts, their ideas. Because there's one thing after another and after another, and it creates this consistent, fast consumption without digestion. Now, you know when you eat and you don't properly digest food, right? It gets chunked up. Your stomach starts to hurt. You can't properly release it. And this is the same thing that's happening every day as we digesting so much. Just imagine if you didn't keep up with the politics until now. You wasted so much time for those who was going to vote for Biden. It wasted so much time arguing with people, debating with people about Biden, only for him to drop out. And now you back to square one, having a rush, having a rally all again. Find your zen. Find that place where you are able to breathe, because it is easier to control the people who do not have control over self, who are in this frantic state looking for a savior, and you make less good decisions. You make less good decisions because you just want it to be over. And so it's easy to hit you with fear because you believe that if I can just be safe, then I can have my peace again. I understand. But I want you to understand. I want you to think about what you want for the future. Forget what might happen, what might not happen. Spend more time cultivating a vision of the ideal future that you want. I promise you it's a better place to live. And be in the present as you do it, though. But the more you think about the future you can't control, it will have you spinning your gears, spinning your thoughts, stuck. And you don't make good decisions when you do that. So I want us to be able to and I also want to say this to people that's out there. Be careful. This is a very interesting election. My team posted Kamala and her family and was saying that this might be your next first families. Right? And people were mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? If you support that candidate, then you're supposed to support them by fully accepting who they are. If you don't like where her family represents something, why? Because here's the important part. I don't mind if you're going to vote for Kennedy, Cornell, Kamala. That's up to you. But I don't like when people are painting this as a black thing when it's not. It's not a black thing. It's a political thing. And I need us to stop doing that, because what it does, it becomes this grift to where you weaken the idea of black identity and representation. If this is a female thing, let that be what it is. If this is a defeat 2020 project 2025, a Trump thing, let that be what it is. But don't make this a black thing, please. Don't do that. It's disingenuous, and it is not the representation that we want to see when you talk about, well, young girls need to see this and that. Nope. Go turn your channel to Queen R4. If that's what you care. Go post her up today so young girls can follow that. Go find good examples of black women who are great divine essences of feminine nature so that these young women can see what's possible inside them, not the ambitions to rule in the white man's world. That's completely different. So we have to stop praising things that don't even make good women. But definitely don't make this a black thing. Please don't. Not when it comes to that candidate. And I think you'll get more respect if you do that. But the moment that you start making this a black thing, you're going to actually drive a wedge. And now everybody has to come in full attack because they have to separate and say, wait a minute, you're not like us. We're not the same. Stop it. So you can't rinse and weaken this identity that we have and this culture that we have and this belief in self that we have is only going to divide more and more people. Now, hey, they can make it a sorority thing. They can make it a women's thing, make it a political thing, make it a defeat the opposition thing. That's fine. But it's going to be so watered down and so inauthentic once you make this a black thing. And you know I'm right. You know I'm right 100%. Because if you cannot show that candidate with their whole family, otherwise it's an agenda, then it's going to be a problem. Because no woman represents just herself. She represents her family. And the values connected to that. And like I said, I don't mind if that's who you want to vote for. That's none of my business. But don't make this a black thing. Because it's definitely not a black American thing. We still haven't got that out of candidate. Obama's father wasn't black American. His mother wasn't black American. Her father's not black American. Her mother's not black American. So don't make it a black thing. And I think everybody would be better for it. I even think the campaign would be stronger for it. But this is just words of advice. Because it's putting too much strain on the consciousness of black America and it's fighting too much. Talking about we failed the black man. Whoever Luton is, whatever black community that you represent, I'm not a part of. Just want to let you know that. I'm not owned, not bought, not sold by nobody. Somebody wants to know what's a black American. Well, for those who don't know, right? Oh, I'm from the Bay Area. So, and don't try to throw out the record. The record is not a good record to throw around. We don't care about sorority leaders. I'm just being honest. That's not something that I look at as a black thing. If that's what your thing is, sorority and fraternity, respect. But if you're a black person, that's enough for me already. I don't need you to throw that title. Right? Graduating at HBCU, again, education is education. Your intelligence is your intelligence. Yes, the historical foundation of those places, and they turn out some amazing, brilliant people. But these are just treats and titles and rewards we throw around. It does not mean that your values are aligned with the betterment of black America. It could be. I'm not saying it means that it means that they're not. You're going to have a hard time trying to convince us that this is a black thing. And if you try that road, you will lose. And trying the black woman thing I don't think it's a good road, even though you're going to automatically get the women. You're going to automatically get the black people that's going to vote for it anyway. But don't oversell it. Don't oversell it. I can't do with months and months of fake overselling blackness. I just can't do it. I can't. It actually is sickening. I just don't like it. We got to go months and months and months now of fake overselling blackness, pandering. Just don't do it. Because you go start making enemies of all of these platforms, and then it becomes divisiveness, and then black men are fighting, and black women are fighting, and black consciousness over here is fighting, and don't make it. Please spare us this election season. And take this advice. It's going to be way more honest on what you do. It's going to be way more authentic. Just spare us. I know we all tired of it. I know we all tired of it. Play politics for what it's worth. Them boys on the other side, man, they are amazing. This election is not even a toss-up. It's a toss-up on the Democratic side, but the Republicans got their shit together right now. They're in line and aligned and kissing the ring for their king, Donald Trump. It's the Democrats that have the issue right now. They found their great white hope on that side. They found their great white leader and savior. The Democrats could not decide whether they wanted, they decided to push everybody out. $260 million in campaign fund. You say, I don't see how you're a Republican. That's because you don't know how to think. If you know how to think, you know I'm a god. A damn Republican. I would never in my life be a Republican. Because I wouldn't belittle myself to a title based on a party who I don't even trust. You know, they said that the Grindr CEO, Grindr, you know they got that little gay app, right? They said that gay app was pinging crazy during the RNC. They said they was the most traffic, it almost shut it down. Yet they push conservative values, but I don't believe they actually represent what they push. Or even believe it. I think they just use it because it's the thing that will bring them together, which is fine. I think conservative values are the thing to push, 100%. But I think it's a bunch of weirdos and people playing roles, if I'm being honest. Donald Trump said that he was only going to become a Republican because he said they were idiots. It's just a role everybody's playing. Come on, man. So why would you ask me to go play a role that I don't fit in? That don't make no damn sense. So I want you all to think about it. Yeah, it's on both sides. We know that. I'm a multidimensional thinker. You know, once you elevate to this level of thinking, you're never looking at things from one side ever. You're looking at from multiple sides. I always argue against myself, not for myself, because I need to see if my thinking is so biased that I can't see a truth beyond my own perspective. So usually that's why when I'm talking to the people, I've already argued the other side. So now I'm coming to speak to you about this one. Because the reason I talk about the Democrats so much, because that's where our people are at the most. The reason I don't talk about the Republicans as much is because we've already decided that that's not our party. 93% of black people voted for Obama. So I'm speaking to the base that we have the most depth in, the most volume in. That's what we are. We have the highest quantity of people are registered to the Democratic Party. The Republicans barely even speak to black people. So, yes, you may think that people are criticizing the Democrats more, but that's because we're talking to black America when we do that. That makes sense. That's our audience. And some people don't seem to comprehend that. I'm not beating up a dead horse. I'm talking to people who are active and they want to think. There are people who have weak affiliations to Democrats, weak affiliations to Republicans, strong affiliations to Democrats, strong affiliations to Republicans. The people who have strong affiliations, who really do this, who they feel like their values are really represented, Those are the people you gonna ever sway left or right. They sticking their flag in the ground and they sticking with their base and they candidate. And we see it. But then there's people who don't really know. They just going with the wind. Those are the people who need more knowledge, more information. But I can tell you, they're not doing enough on one side. And then this duopoly, this only two-party thing. I grew up, there was always independent. There was green parties. There was all these ideas. Even Diddy had a party at one point in time. Not the Diddy parties. I'm talking about. I'm talking about when they was running the Black Party campaigns. Pause. That's funny. Oh my God. Now it's just Democrat and Republican. And this is why America is so divided, because it has no choice. So growing up, we was always taught about the choice between the two evils. And now it has literally only become that. Because there is Robert F. Kennedy. There is Cornel West. So while people are screaming, she's the only thing. Maybe that's what rallies the base. But these are, I will be honest with you. I think Robert F. Kennedy, if I'm being honest, based on analyzing and looking at the numbers and looking at the amount of support he engages from a young base and how easily they are swayed to him, I think he has the best opportunity. And the DNC most likely should nominate him. And I think he would have the best opportunity to go against Trump. Just saying. If you want me being really honest about what I've seen. Now, can y'all tell me that's reality? Because he has a very energized base of people. He represents the white male strength that people need. He comes from that oligarchy family and that bloodline of presidents. Now, I said with Cornel West, there's the thing about Cornel West is I love his mind the most. He has a great mind, a radical mind. But people are not rallying around black men right now. Number one. See, the black female thing is popular, so people will rally around Kamala. That's a popular thing to do. Let's say vote our sister in. They're not going to say we need a black man, another black man in office. That's not a campaign slogan. Just being honest. But when I sat down with Cornel West, it was one of the greatest interviews. It felt amazing. It was powerful. It comes out Sunday. And his philosophies, his grasp on ideologies, his understanding, right, of things, I was impressed. We need somebody with that type of knowledge and engaging in these two. I would sit down and have a conversation with Kamala. She wants to come on high level and be fair and impartial as I am with everybody who sits down, because the point is to have a high level conversation that makes you think. I don't have to agree with somebody to analyze something impartially, but some of you all need to learn this trick of how do I look at something and say that even if I disagree with it, I can still see something as true. It's like this. You can look at the presidency in a race and say, my candidate might not win. And it's okay to say that out loud based on what's happening. I can analyze things. That's disconnecting yourself from the facts and not allowing your emotions to sway you. But a lot of people can't admit a truth to themselves because they're emotionally connected to the outcome. So when you're emotionally connected to the outcome, it changes your perception of seeing something in reality. I ask, like I said, all the conversations I have, I'm going to tell y'all the secret of, as I sit down with people, I always think about how can I connect first? What is something true and honest that I can connect with each person that I interview with, right? No matter who they are, because everybody is human, playing roles, public perceptions. But if I'm sitting down with you, first of all, I can always relate to intelligence. Number one, I can always relate to certain backgrounds and family dynamics. So before, we just not gonna go in and try to attack nobody. You've not seen me attack anybody on my show, and I'm not going to do so. Unless I'm sitting across from a white supremacist, then we're going to have a very aggressive dialogue. It's going to be a little aggressive. It's going to be intellectually aggressive because you're going to have to sit there and explain yourself. But for everybody else, I'll give you an opportunity. But the problem is yes, I don't think she would sit down. And the reason why is because they're not willing to be authentic. And that's the problem. It's the lack of authenticity that is missing. So it doesn't come across and engage. There are so many people that might not be good. And because they're not good and they show up as toxic, they show up as crazy, they show up as a wild card, they show up as radical, but it's authentic to who they are. So you know what you're getting. But politics as usual of putting on a mask, of faking like you are for the crowd to believe something, that type of politics is over. Because we now have social media, not just the media, because they used to put on that face for the media. But social media breaks things down categorically, and we look at things and we describe it based on the truth of what we analyze. So being able to get, layered perspective without agenda or budget or money attached to it, right, allows us to see things for what they are. And it changes the landscape of how people have to present themselves in order to connect. So if you don't have, and I don't understand how they paying these people millions of dollars to be around them, and they got so much campaign fund money, and they don't have people that can give them perspective, or they're not listening to real people, because the organizers in these campaigns should have been the one they listen to. I agree with people like Tez and Figueroa. But they're not listening to people who actually connect with the people. And so they're disconnected to their messengers that are connected to the people. So therefore, they don't even know how to connect to the people. So they're layered. They're completely disconnected. And you can tell by these inauthentic tactics that they utilize to pander to people, which only further distances and creates more dissonance for them in the base. These things people need consultants on, and I don't like to see society done wrong. But leadership in society today is missing an understanding, an intuitive understanding of how people think and operate and move. And I think it's because they're no longer connected to the intellects and the scholars, right, and the philosophers, right, that can give them proper guidance today. It seems like they're just guided by more political analysts that are even disconnected more and more. So when they look at numbers, they're skewing what they're viewing, and everything is getting lost. And the younger generation is seeing the world completely different. So that's why I told you. The worst thing that they can do is try to run a campaign and present this as a black thing. It's only going to divide up those numbers, and they're going to lose horribly. But I want you all to understand that it's our job and our opportunity, because if we look at this thing, and I want some of you all to really take out your emotions out of this thing and completely disconnect from it, because, quietly kept there, they may be pushing their candidate now, but they're not preparing to win. They're preparing to look at what is the Senate seats that they can get, the Congress seats that they can get. They're preparing to lose. So for you to put all of your emotions in a camp that you can tell they're preparing to lose. Donors are withdrawing their money, right? And there's division over there at that base. So now they're thinking 4 years out. They're trying to strategize later. So for you to put all your emotions into a base, right, and have this expectation that if it doesn't get met, then you're going to have disappointment. That's not emotional intelligence. So I want you to guard your mind and your emotional intelligence, because this is one of the rare times in history to where you get to plan for an outcome that is already to be expected. So therefore, there's no emotion, there is no anxiety, there is no stress. This is what they're going to do, this is what we're going to do, and it has to be high impact agendas, transformative plan for America, transformative plan for you and your family, right? And how you're going to plan out your project 2025, 2026, really to 2028 and beyond. And I think that we're mature enough to have went through a lot in this last 10 years to want to have a more certain future. And there are people who perform in this country very well, regardless of what's going on politically or economically. And the reason they do that is because as things happen, they adjust and they plan and they enjoy. Adjust, plan, and enjoy. Because if you're not enjoying life and you're only stressed out about it and things happen and you're not learning as you go and growing and then executing based on the growth of that learning and going back to enjoying life, right? Focusing on the things that you can get better at measurably. Then as things get worse, you get worse, which means it doubles the stress that it takes to succeed in this life. So I want us to focus on what we can control, a more certain future based on our goals, and focusing on the high impact items in our own lives that we can change. I agree with you, Tech, or X rather, and I think that the more the powerful thing is to create a platform where people get to vote on ideas that the collective will collectively fund and resource. Because I think that we can transform this country. There's going to be two levels of things that happen at federal levels, things that happen at local levels, bills and legislation, Senate, Congress, so many things that we can say, okay, this is our strategy. And I think that that would be empowering to the people, because this idea that you're left with a monarch with power of impunity and that can do whatever they want to makes people feel hopeless, when that's not the reality. There's always a move. As a matter of fact, America was set up so that there's always a move. The Constitution was set up so there's always a move. It's a check and balance system. And so when they go high, you go low, right? And then you continue to flow. So that is and should be the focus moving forward, because I see a lot of faking that's about to go on in the next few months of social media, and it's going to be very interesting to see. And I'm going to sit back and I'm going to laugh at a lot of different things. And I want you all to take your emotions out, because you're going to be frustrated as hell if you don't. If you don't take your emotions out and you don't laugh, you're going to be frustrated. Why did they do this? Why did they do this? Who did they support? Oh, this is fake. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to close on this. When I was in Ghana, I feel so far away from the problem. I mean, so far away. It felt like America had become this small. And when I opened my phone and I looked at how we argued with each other, it was like walking into somebody's house and they, from the outside, you can hear them arguing, right? You walk down the block, it's lower and lower, get to a point where you can't hear anything at all, right? But then you're walking and purposely walking into this house, and when you get in there, they just toxic. They just screaming at each other. They fighting at each other. Then when you can actually hear what they arguing about, is petty. It's petty as hell. Now, if you walk away from that house and you're thinking about what happened in that house, you're taking that argument and that pettiness with you. You start having conversations with other people. But if you completely ignore it, then that argument that's happening in that house is only happening in that house and it's not affecting you. And you realize that those things are only important because we're magnifying the attention that we're giving to them, and we're carrying it around all day. So it seems bigger than what it actually is. And so when I was far away, I realized, like, we live on a planet. And these problems that we talk about, they're not everywhere. And we live in a borderless planet. Like, America may be going through this. The rest of the world is looking at this like it's crazy. I was just talking to one of our high-level London correspondents that we are hiring. And I want to get to know the perspective of people that's out there in the UK. How do you view this? So when you go far away and you develop a more global mind, you understand that, wait a minute, why are we fighting so hard in this burning house? Isn't that what Martin Luther King talked about, the burning house? America is the burning house that we integrated in. But there's a global house that has more rooms, that has more acres, there's more land, there's more space, there's more opportunity, there's more connections to be had. And for some reason, we're not really thinking global enough as far as the partnerships and the opportunities, right? That can be played. And once you do that, you realize, like, God damn, man, I've just been sitting in this toxicity as if there was no other option. And so you realize that it's your fault. That house is going to stay arguing. But why are you staying in that house? Why are you focused on the problems that's in that house? And you got all these rich people, all these people with money and influence and power, they don't really have the same problems that you have. They could use their platform throughout the whole entire year to push something positive. But it's amazing how they zoom in and they want you to zoom in on problems. Well, the rest of the year, they travel the world, they live their life. It's a whole nother thing. But they have no agenda to create a better culture and a better world, to fight corporate agendas and issues and problems that's out there in the world. But it makes them feel good because they're going to be connected if their party wins, so that they can get richer and have more influence and get invited and be a part of this bourgeoisie society. It's not that they really care about the issues or the little people. Sometimes they may fool themselves. But I know it's not real. I see the authenticity all the time. So I tell the people, focus on you and yours. And the first house that you reside over, the first house that you put all your emotions and your energy and your intellect and your resources in to govern and preside over is your own. And when your house is in order, you living wealthy. You living good. You know, it's different. You know, when they say from the comfort of your own house, the comfort of your own couch, oh, it hit different when your house is clean, when your house is together. You may be concerned about what's going on in the world, but from the comfort of your own couch, it hits different, especially if you got multiple couches. You might have one in Ghana. You might have one in London. You might have one in Jamaica. Excuse my accent. I'd be here to get a little carried away. Right? But the comfort of your own home matters. And I think that that's where change starts. In the comfort of your own home. And that's something that we can control. Having a clean environment, living a clean life. Preparing ourselves for all things to come. And the more prepared we feel, right, the better we live. You need multiple couches. This is a key. So I close with that, and I appreciate you all for being here. We have a lot of things that we're going to campaign for the people. I have a lot of people that's been reaching and wanting to tap in, and I've been telling them I can't run no campaigns without campaign contributions. Because when I be looking at the numbers and they be like a 260 million for a campaign, all right, I see what's going on here. Oh no, we gotta figure something out. What's going on? You know what I mean? So when we look at independent parties, they have the least amount of money. That's why they don't win. And we don't think to vote with our dollar. We don't think to vote with our resources, right? And so it's like you want to fight these machines and you want to have revolutions, but the revolution must be funded. It has to be a well-funded revolution for it to even have a chance, because there are so many things that is required in order to create change. And it's not just passion. It's not just a heart for it. Just to put that on your mind. Peace, family.